Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Honesty Hollowell, and today we will be discussing discipline and time management when it comes to working on your business. So a little bit about me. Again, my name is Honesty. I am a proud FAMU alumna. I received my Bachelor of Science in Political Science in the spring of 2022. I have experience as a field organizer with the Florida Democratic Party for the 2022 primary election, and I do plan to attend law school in the fall of 2024. My experience spans across campaigning, recruitment, customer service. I've done a lot of public speaking. I've had some managerial titles here and there. I've done a lot of training sessions. Me personally, I am very passionate about community involvement, and I have had some experience in youth outreach, both within my local library and within my pre-law fraternity, Phi Alpha Delta. And I plan to use my passions and my experience to guide me with my future law degree and hopefully make a positive impact on my community. When I'm not working or training or studying, I do enjoy painting. I do a little sketching here and there. And I have been cooking and baking from scratch since I was about 15 or 16. So I'm a self-taught cook, if I do say so myself, and I enjoy anything creative. So that's just a little bit about me. And we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so first things first, when it comes to time management, I think it's important to know that you reap what you sow, no pun intended. The impacts of effectively managing your time will not only have a positive impact on you, but in your business and your employees as well. So some things you can expect, of course, are a boost in performance and quality, a more manageable workload, and you'll find yourself meeting deadlines and even exceeding certain expectations. And overall, which is my favorite, you are going to greatly reduce your stress and your anxiety just around running your business and your everyday workload. And it'll probably even have that same impact on those around you as well. So the key areas to keep in mind when you are improving your time management is identifying your prime time. We are going to go over a time management matrix to kind of visualize how to do that. Planning out your tasks, planning out your day, conquering multitasking or not multitasking, depending on where you fall, limiting your distractions, and prioritizing rest. In all of this, you're going to find a way to improve your overall workflow. Okay, so my favorite debate is the night owl versus the early bird. So we might hear the early bird gets the worm. So a lot of times I think as a society, we conform to getting up at the crack of dawn and busting everything out. And while that might work for some people and in some industries, that does not mean that it may also work for you. You might be setting yourself backwards 15 steps and even your team backwards as well. You should really try your best to embrace both and identify where you and your employees fall. So if you are someone that can get up at 6 a.m. and you can start your day off, that is awesome. But if you know for a fact that by 3 o'clock, you're going to be burnt out, you're not going to be as engaged in certain meetings, you're not going to be as productive, there might even be some safety concerns because you were just missing out on that sleep, by all means, go back to 9 a.m. If you are a night owl, take full advantage of what comes with being a night owl. You know, the world is at a slower pace. Most people are asleep. You might be able to get more done because there are less distractions. I know for me, while I was an undergrad, a good portion of my work got done when everyone was asleep. I didn't have to worry about my phone going off. I didn't have to worry about friends wanting to hang out. I didn't have to worry about extracurricular activities. I could really zone in on my work and prioritize everything that I needed to put on a back burner because there was just too much going on throughout the day. Now, however, that I am in a more professional field, I do find myself working better at an earlier time, depending on what I have going on, but I had to identify the environments and the spaces in which that worked for me. I do think it is also important when you are interacting with your team and even when you are having new people join your team to identify which spectrum they fall on, because they might not be someone you want to rule out simply because they're not a morning person. They might function better in other areas that involve a nightlife routine, other areas where you can't get this done because you need to focus on your family at 7 p.m., but Charles can, whoever is available to at that time of day. So if you can, stop fighting your biology. If you as an entrepreneur have the freedom to set your own schedule, take full advantage of that and step outside of what the norm is, or keep going with the norm if that's what works for you. So I personally, I save my most productive hours for important and urgent tasks. I say that to everyone. If you know that lunch time, the traditional 12 o'clock p.m. is when you're most productive, then maybe you take your lunch hour at 2. I know I do, because that is when I know I can knock everything else out. So anything earlier, when I first come into work, I do all of my housekeeping. I check my emails, I clean my desk off, whatever I need to do just to get everything straight away. Those are my less productive hour times. They're minimal tasks, they're not really heavy, but it helps me get my day going. Okay, so the time management matrix. To help decrease your stress and plan how to execute your agenda, you should really attempt to section your task into 4 different quadrants. So we did speak previously about your important task and your non-urgent but important task. When you separate them in this way, it'll help you, instead of just having this large to-do list of things you need to get done, try to visualize and prioritize where you need to knock everything out. So start in the first quadrant always. Anything urgent, anything important, you want to get knocked out immediately. It might be a little daunting. You might want to put it off because you know it's going to take a lot of your time, but it will greatly decrease the amount of stress that you have on your workload. And it'll also help with any way possible that you might be procrastinating, in any way that you might just be pushing it to the back burner, and now any additional feedback that you might have needed is going to take a little longer because you just didn't want to deal with it. So anything urgent, anything important, knock that out first. Anything that's not super urgent but still semi-important, is going to get your bills paid, I would definitely probably knock that out next. Anything that is urgent, meaning someone wants you to get this done right now, but it's not very important, it's not paying the bills, I put that in quadrant 3. So you might want this done at 3 o'clock, but little do you know, I still have X, Y, and Z to do to make sure that the lights stay on. You go there, you go into quadrant 3. And anything that is not urgent, not important, we can knock that out later. Anything in quadrant 4, I usually use as a buffer. So for example, things that are not urgent and not important might be clearing out my emails. I might need to just delete old emails. I'll usually do something minimal like that if I need a brain break. So I still need to get some work done, but I don't have the capacity currently for anything in quadrant 1. Anything that's urgent and important, I just need a break, but we still need to be productive. I might shift into quadrant 4 for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. So that way I can still do some housekeeping, but I can give my mind some time to kind of rest and reboot. So that way I can better prioritize what needs to get done. Okay, and then we have the tips for the quadrant model. So again, you're going to want to sort your 4 quadrants based on your daily or weekly tasks, just depending on how much of a workload that you have. So for me, I have had periods in my workloads where I have everything set out by week. So I'll write down everything I know I need to get done for the week. It'll usually be in order of importance. So if you take those quadrants and you put them in list form, quadrant 1 will probably be in the first bullet, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. If I am in a season where I have a lot going on in my day-to-day, then we will have a 4 quadrant model for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But this is absolutely based off of your preference and just what your day-to-day life looks like. Again, you should stick to tackling what's in quadrant one first, usually because that's what's keeping your business running. And you should also use strong discernment if there are trivial routine tasks that just need to be divided or if they can be naturally completed. So something as small as checking the mail, you don't need to add that to your list. That needs to get done anyway. Paying the bills, gonna get done anyway. Anything that is already a part of your natural routine in terms of how you run your business, try to avoid putting that into your quadrants and really focus on putting the tasks that you don't really smile at. You're more than welcome again to shape this model in whatever way gets your job done. These are tips that have worked for me personally throughout the years. And as I learn and grow and evolve, I tweak them in whichever way works best for me. And when I enter, a new season or any new industry, we always revisit this just to see how I can best use these tips in the future. Moving forward. Okay, so planning. I feel like we have all had some period of time throughout our lives where we have been given a planner or we have been told to make a to-do list, whether it be by mom, teacher, boss. I think this is something that we can still revisit at any time frame, at any age. If you have not already, I strongly advise you to utilize either a planner or, because we are in modern day technology, download a calendar app or utilize the calendar that you have on your phone. This is something that personally I have adopted more recently. I was not always privy to putting my personal interactions on my calendar. If I said I was going to be at dinner at 6, I'll be at dinner around 6. But utilizing my calendar app, even outside of just work-related tasks, has done a great deal to help me map out what my day is going to look like. And it also helps when it comes to kind of planning your burnout, if you will. Oftentimes, I think we might postpone or reschedule certain affairs or certain events because we forgot or we didn't realize how tired we would be by 5 p.m. And if you already have these out on the calendar and it's in front of your face and you see this is coming up, let me make sure that I set some time aside to do this, or let me make sure I don't spend too long on this conversation so I have the social battery for tonight's dinner, whatever the case may be, having all of your events, no matter what spectrum they're on your calendar is going to do a great deal to just help you really mentally manage your social battery, your work battery, and you're a human. So it's important for you to really be able to map out how much you can handle on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. If you are just starting out and kind of physically planning out your day in a way that is visual to you, start with a blank sheet of paper, write down your engagements, write down any priorities that you have to get done. But the key here is really just to stay organized so you can avoid missing any appointments or any deadlines that you have coming up. I personally like to dedicate Sundays to really get a grasp of what my next week is going to look like for the entire week in terms of my day-to-day. I, again, start early in the morning, usually when I am checking my emails. I'll go on my calendar and I'll see if there's anything I have going on. If not, when I get to work, sometimes when I get up in the morning, just to, see if I should put on a specific outfit for whatever engagement I might have going on. You really just want to make sure you're keeping a consistent overall view of what you have planned and what you have scheduled. Please, above all, do not forget to plan breaks and buffers. I cannot stress this enough. I even go hour by hour where I give myself 10 minutes to kind of just decompress. I think we are in a society that has us convinced that we are able to run as a machine, and I am going to be the first one to tell you, you cannot, and you are not a machine. So please, above all, schedule yourself a break. I know we get into our high productive modes where we think we can just go. But if 3 o'clock is when you told yourself that you're going to log off and you're going to take a minute, log off, take a minute, breathe, reset, and then dive back into your work. We are building a business. We are trying to run a business, but you are not trying to run yourself as a machine. All right, so planning tools. Again, Google Calendar is, again, great for team and personal settings. So I know for my organization, we have access to everyone's calendar, so we can see what everyone has going on, and it helps us avoid overstacking tasks or events on anyone's calendar or on anyone's day without already being aware of where they're going to be at a certain time or a certain day. Asana is also a great app to help manage yourself and your team and your business. We use it on a very regular basis. If you are privy to bullet journals, and if you're a creative like myself, bullet journals are great for keeping track of not only your time, but your sleep, your water intake, whatever you want to make a personal goal. Bullet journals kind of allow you that creative space and that creative freedom to really map out everything down to your entire year if you have the time to create one yourself. And of course, we love an Old Faithful planner. So if you have not already invested into a planning tool, you should absolutely start there if you are trying to figure out how to begin to manage your time effectively. Okay, so this one might ruffle a couple of feathers. Multitasking. It is not always the best route. We are humans and we all function differently. In certain industries, multitasking might be your best bet. Me personally, being fully transparent, I have ADHD, so sometimes multitasking is my absolute best friend. It keeps my brain stimulated, it keeps me going throughout the day. And other times it is my worst enemy because I will absolutely forget what I was doing 20 minutes ago. So if you are recognizing that in your juggling, you are not getting things done as efficiently as you thought you were, it's time to quit and pick something to focus on. I, again, think this is why it is really, really great to have a planner, because it will absolutely hold you accountable and help you keep in mind what you have to do, whether it is something in person or just a routine task. Having all of these things listed in front of you will avoid the conflict of forgetting to do something or forgetting where your deadline was, especially if you have decided that multitasking is the best way that works for you. This is also where the quadrant model comes in handy, because you already at this point have mapped out what your highly prioritized tasks need to be. Your super urgent, super important tasks, I don't advise you multitask those. It is super important to zero in and just focus on those ones instead of trying to juggle them with something else, because that's how slip-ups and mistakes happen. Now, if you are a master multitasker and this is the reason why you are the entrepreneur that you are today, by all means, keep it up. That is amazing for you. But if you are trying to be a superhero and it is not working, it is time to focus on one thing instead. So just keep that in mind. Eliminating distractions. Okay, so we are in an age of social media where our phones ping for Gmail, the Bible app, Instagram, Twitter, your bank account, whatever the case may be. You should probably utilize your do not disturb function as much as possible. If you do find yourself struggling to meet a deadline and your distractions are not helping, it is important to identify specifically what instantly takes your attention away. I know for a fact that if my mother texts my phone, I will almost immediately drop what I'm doing and see what she wants. It might be nothing much, but that's Mama and I love her, so I always want to see what's going on. So there are certain periods in my work seasons where I have to keep my phone on a do not disturb setting for everyone, because I might even try to search for a distraction just to give myself a break. And again, this is why carving out some time, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, an hour, to allow yourself these distractions can be very important. But everyone's different. So if your distractions range from your phone at your desk, or your team interacting, or if you have kids, in the background, because we are in a work from home era, pinpoint what is taking you away from your day and find the best way to kind of manage that. If that means that you give your kids 10 to 15 minutes out of your hours, that way they are not a distraction for the rest of the 45 minutes. If that means that your phone goes on do not disturb for 10 to 15 minutes, whatever the case may be, pinpoint what that is and find the best way to shut it down, so that way you can get back to running your business the way that works best for you. And again, training yourself to look forward to your distractions. So I use that rule of time on and time off of my planned breaks to look forward to my distractions. So if I did hear my phone buzz a few times within the hour, best believe she is upside down, and I know I have about 20 more minutes until I can see what is going on in the world. So I have trained myself to look forward to my little social media brain breaks. I have trained myself to look forward to a quick FaceTime call with my mom, whatever the case may be, whatever is my fancy for the day. Find a way to reward yourself with those distractions, so that way you are still being as productive as possible, but you're still allowing yourself to be a human being that simply might just need a break. It is important to understand that when you find yourself stepping away from work, there's a chance that you are going through a little bit of a burnout, or you might be just a little overwhelmed with the information in front of you. And when that happens, on top of just how we are now managing our time and we're trying to map everything out, this is the main reason why I say it is important to prioritize your rest, and it is important to prioritize a break, because when our brain decides that it has had enough and it cannot contain any more work, it is not going to work with us. And that is a scientific fact. You cannot force yourself to work more than what your body is willing to do. So give yourself some time to indulge, so that way when it is time to focus, you're able to fully focus without having to be a little selfish. Again, rest. So outside of even just taking a brain break, your health is the utmost important thing when you are an entrepreneur. I do think that when we take this chance on ourselves to run our own business, to be our own boss, it is very easy to let routine things that we did to keep ourselves operable slide by the wayside. So please, please, please find the time for that doctor's appointment, find the time for that dentist appointment, find that time for those 8 hours of sleep. Because the last thing you want is to say, I'm fine today, but you weren't internally, and you cannot see within yourself every single day. So do those regular checkups, get that regular sleep, make sure that anything that you are putting aside, the same with work, put it in 4 quadrants. Anything urgent and important, you need that physical every year. That physical is the only thing that's going to tell you if you are working at maximum capacity, because when you shut down, you are no good to yourself, you are no good to your business, you are no good to your family, and you are no good to the people that are relying on you to keep your business running. So please, 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 again, do not neglect to check in on yourself, check in on your mental health. Absolutely. That has been a very hot button topic within the last couple of years. And I will be the first one to say that your mental health is a very easy thing to kind of gaslight yourself into thinking it doesn't matter, or you'll be all right, or you're hard, or you really have everything taken care of. But do regular check-ins on yourself. Make sure that you are where you need to be mentally to run your business the way it needs to be ran. Also, to make sure that you can manage the people that you have employed the way that they need to be managed. And you cannot do that efficiently if your mind is not right. And again, as I've said before, you are a human, you are not a machine. You are a human that was capable of growing this business, which means that this business will be okay if you take an hour to go to the doctor. So, and with all things, good things take time. So give it about 60 days. All in all, it takes around 21-ish days to build a habit, but I say 60 because it's easy to put that habit down. Try one thing at a time. Try one method at a time. If that's you trying the quadrant method, if that's you utilizing a planner, if that's you trying Asana out for the first time, please try just one strategy at a time. Give it a few days, give it a couple of weeks, keep what works and let go of what does not work. We all function at different rates and at different priority levels. So what might work for me might not work for you, and what might work for your colleague might not work for your team. So the same way I discussed the night owl and the early bird method, 6 a.m. works for some folks, not for all. So again, let go of what doesn't work, commit to what does, commit to change, commit to really putting forth the effort to manage your time so your business and your personal life can get what it deserves out of you, and also for yourself, because at the end of the day, all of this is to be fruitful to you and your health and your mindset. I don't believe we have any questions, comments, or concerns, but if you do, please feel free to give us an email. You can feel free to visit us at www.trident.org. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me, my email is hhhollowell@trident.org as well. And I thank you so much for attending and committing to building a better relationship with your business and prioritizing your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.